Chairwoman, members of the committee, thank you very much for having me here today. My name is David McGarry, and I am the research director at the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, which is a nonprofit that works to educate lawmakers and citizens about the effects of regulatory and economic policy. Um, the fact that I will testify today against the bill doesn't mean that I don't want children to be safe online. In fact, I think children must be made safe online. That's a simple, basic function of government and civil society. However, when considering any new regulation, we have to ask first whether it will be effective, and second, whether it will create new risks that actually endanger the very children that we seek to protect. I'm happy to explain the reasons why I do not think this bill would be particularly effective, but I would like to focus instead during my remaining time on the unintended consequences. In order to comply with this bill to do age verification, app stores would have to collect a staggeringly personal type of data. Most data or most age verification services today work on the basis of scans of government documentation, such as IDs or facial scans. And although often we hear claims that these sorts of services can collect and store this data in a responsible way, that simply isn't true. We've seen hacks and data breaches and other incidents going from the biggest tech companies to third-party age verification providers. Even France, which instituted regulations to purportedly make this process safe, found within 6 months of those regulations going into effect that data was being improperly leaked. What exists today along the lines of parental controls, especially with the newest updates from Apple and Google, actually provide far more comprehensive and granular and customizable tools to parents than anything offered in this bill. Putting a rigid one-size-fits-all standard that, instead of bolstering parental decision-making, replaces it with the decision-making of the government, as Justice Scalia, or to borrow from a Justice Scalia opinion in Brown versus Entertainment Merchants Association, that is not going to be effective in making parents more and better able to protect their children online. Just to give one example, our goal here, I think, today is to make it as easy as possible for parents to keep their children safe. A one-size-fits-all standard, a rigid one-size-fits-all standard that requires parents to approve every download or, say, every update isn't going to make parents' lives easier. As I said, existing controls are much more customizable. Parents can adapt them to fit the needs of themselves and of their children, and to do so in a convenient and workable manner. And I know I'm running up against time, but I will just finally say that I don't think that the current system is just working the way it is. Obviously, if it were, we wouldn't be sitting here today. But I would say that I've worked with some of these tools, and the actual using of them operationally is quite straightforward. The problem is that parents don't always know exactly how to find the right answers and how to work with the tools. But that puts us in a different place. That leaves us asking the question of how can we empower parents to work with the tools to make the best decisions for their families, instead of imposing a privacy-threatening and most likely unconstitutional mandate. I would be more than welcome to take any questions, and I thank you for your time.